Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It is a beautiful Monday. Yes, it is. Even here in Michigan, the sun, I see a little bit of blue sky. I see some white clouds. The sun may come out today. It would be a big deal if it does. It seems that I brought the rain from San Francisco to Michigan. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay, so I'm very excited about today because today is all about layering. And we're going to do it a couple different ways. So I have a piece of paper, and what we're going to be doing today is we're just going to be practicing. We're not necessarily going to be creating a design, creating like a painting as it is that we're just playing with layering. And this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but that's great because I want you to watch it. I want you to watch it again. I want you to practice. I want you to watch it again. Like, I want you to really practice this because this is going to support you in leaning into a whole new level of watercolor painting. Okay? All right. So I'm going to bring my paper down. We're going to be doing this a couple different ways. There's different ways to layer. And let's see. There we go. There we go. Okay. There's a couple different ways to layer. I don't have my paper I don't have it I don't have it taped down. So what I do is sometimes I just put my watercolor pad down, just kind of diagonal a little bit on my paper, and that really helps to keep my paper down so that I can paint on it. We are going to be using a couple different brushes. I'm going to start with this brush, which is a flat tipped. It's probably about 1.5 to 2 inches wide, and use something that's similar to this. It may be a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller, not too much smaller than this. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a couple different ways to layer. One way that we're going to layer is we are going to put down one color, and then we're going to mix in another color as it is wet. Okay? And then the other way that we're going to layer is we are going to put down some color, wait for it to completely dry, and then put layers over it. And you're going to see the difference in what I'm talking about shortly. So I'm going to start with a pink for both sides. So we're going to be doing a layer over here. And we're going to be doing a layer over here. And what we're going to be doing is on this one, we're going to jump in and we're going to bring in another color, and we're going to layer in here pretty quickly. So I'm going to bring in some purple, this lighter purple here, and see how it's starting to dry, but it's not fully dried. So what happens is this starts mixing in with the pink that's already there. And what we're doing is we started with one color and we're mixing in another color. What this does is not only does it mix the two colors together, but it also adds some of that layering look. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but this is great. Especially know this, if you start with a lighter color and you don't necessarily love the full color of it, you can always jump in and add another color to mix in whatever the color is that you put down. Just like I used a pink and then a purple, I made it a different looking color. All right, so a great way to know that your paint is dry, which this one is not yet. See how I'm making? Okay, so I'm going to add more to this. So notice that you can just keep adding as it dries a little bit. We want your paint to dry some. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bunch of water that's just going to mix in and look kind of difficult and ugly and etc. It's just a different kind of effect. But we can just keep adding in some of this purple to add more of a gradient from purple to pink. And then we can bring this pink back in, start at the bottom and work our way up. And then we've got this lovely mix of purple to pink, which looks just lovely. Okay, now for this one, I'm going to show you what it looks like to paint over something that is completely dry. I think this is pretty close to dry. Okay, so we're going to mix in this again. And be mindful not to use as much water and more pigment. Watch this. Okay, I'm going to flip this around and show you what this looks like because it's very, very distinct, the difference. So this one is the one that we mixed in while the paint was wet. This one is the one that we mixed in the purple when the paint was dry. Now, here's where this comes in handy. This is great for some kinds of water. This is also great for some kind of water. It's like if you were painting ocean or a lake and you wanted this smooth, from purple to green kind of look, then you could totally use this. You could even use this for like a sunrise, sunset look where the water is purplish pink. This is going to be great for waves, for movement, if you want some movement on your water. So let me show you an actual example of this. I'm actually going to paint you some water. Yes, I am. All right, so I'm going to show you when to use this and when not to. So I'm just going to this is the top of our water. Now you can also use both of these at the same time as well. So notice I came back in here with a darker color as the water is still wet, which means it's going to have more of this look. It's going to fade in. I'm also going to bring in some grays because I want this to be kind of stormy. So this has some, the water has some dynamic for sure, but because I'm mixing this all in while it's still wet, come on, it's all gonna mix in pretty well. Okay. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. Okay, so I used this style, which is mixing all of my colors and dynamic and different shades in while the color is wet. Now, we're just gonna like get this as dry as quickly as possible. Okay, still not quite as wet as I'm quite as dry as I would like it to be. It's close, you guys. Do the same thing with your paper. This is an easy way to dry your paper. Okay, we're gonna call it good. There we go. All right, now we're gonna keep this brush as dry as possible. So make sure that you dry it out. Get all that excess water out. And then I'm gonna bring in, what am I gonna bring in? I'm gonna bring in some gray and some lightish green, some gray and some green. And I'm gonna come over here. And I'm just going to bring some of this in. Okay, so I want you to see what this looks like. So see how you've got the gray lines on the top that are very, very distinct. And then the blues underneath are the ones that are fading into each other. So this is a really great way to add some texture and dynamic to your paintings. So we used this, which is I hope you can read my handwriting. So we have our wet layering and our dry layering. Our wet layering and our dry layering. Our wet layering is what supports us in getting our base color down and mixing in and having some variety that's subtle. Our dry layering is our texture. It's our details and the things that we put on top of the water. So take a look at that and watch this again and try it again for yourself. Woohoo! Happy Monday. Go play with this in your week.